This video is designed to help you get ready for the quiz that is over 1.1 to 1.4. So whether you're in Algebra 2 regular or honors, you will have a quiz over the same topic. So here are some problems that you can try along with me. I'm going to write the problem down. If you want to pause it and try it on your own and then see if you get the right answer, or if you just want to watch it through so you can see how I do the problem. First one I'm going to do is a solving question. So the directions will say solve. You'll have a section in your quiz that will be the only thing in the directions section. So here is our equation. And again, the directions will just say solve for x. So the first thing you want to do on the left side of the equation is we're going to want to distribute. We have this 6. We need to multiply it by what is inside. So when I do that, I get 12x minus 30. When I take the 6 times the 5, make sure you include the negative. On this side, the 5, nothing happens to it. It's not being distributed because it was not immediately followed by a parentheses. What is being distributed is this negative sign. You want to think of it like there's a negative 1 here. And so when I distribute that negative 1, it's going to change the signs of what's in parentheses. So I'm going to end up with a negative 1x, or you can just write negative x, and a negative 4. Next thing I'm going to do is combine like terms. So I have a 5 and a negative 4. That gives me 1. Still not doing anything with a negative x. And now I'm down to a situation where I have x's on both sides, numbers on the both sides. I want to get everything on its like side. So I'm going to move this x to the other side by adding it. I'm going to do the opposite operation. So I'm going to add x over here. That gives me 13x. On this side, I still have a 1. These x's cancel. And then I need to get the 30 to the other side by adding 30. So I have 13x equals 31. And then my last step is to divide by 13. And my answer is that x equals 31/13, which seems kind of like a strange answer, but it does not reduce. I prefer that you leave it as an improper fraction. Don't write it as a mixed number. And this is the final answer that I would be looking for on the test. I want to do one more problem in this video. It's still a solving, but a little bit different directions. This time, we'll switch colors a little bit. We'll go green. This time, it's going to say to solve for y. And you're not going to get a numeric answer. This is more of a rewriting. So we're going to have an equation that looks like this. 2x minus 7y equals 12. And the goal is to isolate the y, to get y by itself. So we need to move everything else away from it. The first step, we're going to need to move the 2x away from it, and we're going to do that by subtracting it, because currently it's being added. So we're going to subtract 2x on both sides. We still have negative 7y. You cannot subtract 12 minus 2x. They are not like terms, so we have to keep them separately. I'm going to write the x first. Just out of habit, I like to write my x term first, get it more of a slope-intercept form. And then the last step is you need to get the y by itself by getting rid of the negative 7 that's currently being multiplied. So the opposite, the operation, is to divide by negative 7. And I'm going to divide everything by negative 7. You could do one large bar. It is nice to do them individually because then you can individually simplify them. So I have a negative 2 divided by a negative 7. 2 sevens does not reduce, but it does become positive because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. This one, 12 over 7, doesn't reduce. It is negative because you have a positive divided by a negative. And again, you can leave it as 12 over 7, so you do not have to write that as a mixed number. That is your equation solved for y. So in this case, the solving was more of an isolating. This is slope-intercept form, so that means that your slope is 2/7, so your y-intercept is negative 12/7. These are two problems that are going to look just like what's on the quiz. Maybe we can go through one more problem. Let's look at a fraction type problem. Let's say your problem said 1/3 x plus 2/5 equals 3. So you have a couple options here. The directions again will just say solve for x. If you want, you can move the 2/5 to the other side immediately by subtracting. If you're a person that looks at it and says, I don't want these fractions here, you can do something called clear fractions that we discussed in class. When you clear fractions, you choose the number that will be the least common denominator of any denominators that are there. So in this case, you have a 3 and a 5 in your denominators. Your least common denominator would be 15. And you're going to multiply every single term by 15, including the one that doesn't have a fraction. So 15 times a third of 15 is 5. You can do it on your calculator if you need to. You can do it in your head if you're comfortable. 15 times 2/5, 2/5 of 15 is 6. And don't forget to multiply this by 15 as well. It's the most commonly forgotten part. And then you can solve it as you will do a traditional equation that does not have fractions. We're going to subtract 6, so we end up with 5x, the 6's cancel, equals 39. And your last step is to divide by 5. You get x equals 39/5, and again, another answer that maybe looks a little messier than you were expecting, but it does not reduce. These 3 problems should be a huge help on your quiz over 1.1 to 1.4.